This is the new D33 micro-ATX case from Jonsbo, and in this coverage, I'm going to show you why Jonsbo should be in your top 3 to 5 case brand options when it comes to building a system. Now here's the thing, as a US-based tech creator in the PC DIY space, I'm naturally around a lot of conversations when it comes to PC building. But the thing is, I don't often hear people bring up the name Jonsbo in the conversation. And I found out why. Jonsbo has been around for nearly 2 decades, but they've never pushed the US market. They've mainly focused on every other country except us, until recently. I've had experience working on Jonsbo cases like this Mod 5 Batman build I did in 2023 and a couple more last year in 2025 with the TK2 and TK3. Their quality is pretty damn good. I mean, the sheet metal on the cases I've worked on are thicker than most, anodizing and powder coats are consistent, and even features that are particular to a certain style of cases compared to their competitors stand out if you know what you're looking for. Anyways, I've been doing quite a few micro-ATX cases lately in the last 12 months or so, because I guess companies are just making them. Now, just a few example projects I've done. More recent models include the Phanteks XT M3 and the XT V3, the Flux M from Antec, and the H3 from NZXT, and I even brought back an older case like the Fractal Pop Mini Air. Well, Jonsbo had announced their new D33 mATX case back in March and is now available on Amazon and Newegg. This case has 4 different colors, solid black and white, which retails for $99 US, and they also have the black and white wood versions that go for $119 US. The wood versions have exactly the same base as the default black and white, it's really just the front panel accent. So in my video here, Jonsbo had sent me the 2 wood models. I bought the default black and white cases myself. I've also built in the black wooden case just to get familiar with it, so my coverage would primarily be using the white wooden case here. Also, a big shout out to Nexus for sending me their latest LC1 coolers as well as their new NF-A12 and A14 Gen 2 fans for this, because they are pretty much the only ones that make brown hardware to match wooden builds. Baseline dimensions and specs are listed here, or you can always just get it from their product page. Starting with the removable front panel, the wood versions have walnut tone slats on the black case and oak tone for the lighter match on the white case. The default black and white cases use plastic slats for their front panels. I will say the oak panel on the white case has a bit of a reddish tone. The front I/O panel is brushed aluminum on all models with rounded corners to give a soft modern tech vibe, which I really like. As for the USB ports and connections, here they are. Now speaking of curves, this ties into the rest of the case and panels on all sides. Just by eye, I'm guessing this is somewhere between a 1/2 inch to 1 inch bend radius, and it looks really good. The tempered side glass panel is removable without any screws, just like the back side panel, and they do hinge from the bottom. The black models have a very slight tint on the glass, whereas the white models have no tint. Let's look at the main chamber. The hardware box with screws and accessories are tied up inside, so we can take this out for now. Micro-ATX motherboard support obviously, and mini ITX as well, and as expected in 2026, it does have back connect compatibility like ASUS BTF, MSI Project Zero, and AORUS Stealth. The power supply bracket and shroud is in the upper front portion of the chamber, and we see this very commonly for this style of compact cases. It's really the only place to efficiently use the space. It does support ATX and SFX power supplies, and they do give you 2 brackets for each respective format. The ATX bracket is one that's pre-installed by default. The PSU shroud position itself also has the option to shift from ATX to SFX, and doing so also opens up the slot for 140mm fans in the front panel. Otherwise, it can only take 120s. The unbuilt white case is by default set to ATX, but in the black case I already built, I used an SFX, which is the Loki 1000W PSU from ASUS. I don't think I've seen any other micro-ATX cases that have this specific power supply adjustment method, and I think it's quite neat. There is a GPU anti-sag support bracket here, which would be adjusted via 2 thumb screws from the back. Now, in my black wooden build, I discovered that if you use a graphics card as big as the Noctua RTX 5080, the anti-sag bracket would be positioned quite low, and tightening from the back would be somewhat difficult to reach with a screwdriver. You can still get it, but it'll be at an angle. For storage drives, you can fit up to 2 3.5 inch hard drives or 2 2.5 inch SSDs, or one of each on the tray behind the motherboard. If you don't plan on running any large drives, you can also take it out. There's about 51mm of depth space in this back chamber area for you to do cable management and drives. There's also a magnetic dust filter at the bottom panel. We can get that out of the way first. CPU cooler height maxes at 172mm, which should be plenty for any air cooler out there. GPU max length is 435mm, which should be able to fit really big cards like the RTX 5090 Astro or the even larger RTX 5080 Noctua Edition. Now, depending on your motherboard and where the PCIe slot starts, it will determine if you can fit fans in the bottom panel for really thick 3.5 to 4 slot GPUs, like what I have here. For example, the B860G motherboard starts in the first slot, so I have plenty of room to install standard 120mm fans. The B850M Plus motherboard starts in the second slot, which leaves no room to install bottom fans when using thick GPUs. GPUs from different brands will have varying sizes, so you should measure out what's best for you. A few companies like Noctua also make slim 15mm fans, so that's always an option. There is no native vertical GPU support for the D33, and accessing the PCIe screws in the back, you would need to remove the guard for it first. Now let's move on to cooling hardware support. The top panel has a removable bracket for you to install your top-mounted radiator and fans. There are 2 screws in the front and 2 in the back for this bracket. When installing, the bracket actually gets sandwiched between the radiator and the fans like so before putting it back into the case. This top panel can hold 240 or 360mm size radiators. The bottom panel can only do up to triple 120 fans. The front panel can do double 120s or 140s, but only when using SFX PSU configuration as mentioned earlier. And the rear panel can only take a single 120. Now for custom loops, let's dive a bit deeper. The top-mounted bracket cannot support wider radiators like EK because the mounting holes will not line up. Brands that are likely to be more compatible are Corsair and BitsPower. In addition, the radiator thickness on the top cannot be more than 30mm, so stick to slimmer rads. It's not written in the manual, but I was able to fit a radiator at the bottom panel. Yes, even larger 360s like from EK, AlphaCool, and Hardware Labs. And you would still have room to access your fittings with front panel fans installed. But of course, this depends on how big your GPU is. Typically with a water block, it can shrink down to a 1 to 2 card slot. I also found that the rear panel can fit a large 120 radiator as well. Here's an example from EK. So this is just an example setup with double 360 rads on the top and bottom panels and a small compact reservoir at the front, so a custom loop can work in the compact D33. So that is pretty much it for the D33. Now, aside from covering the case, my secondary goal with this video is basically to put more awareness on the brand for US viewers here. And having more options for PC DIY is always a good thing. So if you are in the position to upgrade your PC case or build a new system from scratch in 2026, take a look at Jonsbo cases when you're doing your comparisons.